Hello and welcome back to What Heather Did. I'm Heather and today I'm participating in the Unique Antique Challenge, the Mirror Challenge, hosted by Crystal with Crafty Creech and Jenna at the Junk Princess. And today's challenge is to mirror another piece that we really liked from the Flippin' Bunch. And you can find the play link, that was good. The link to the playlist, they're up here and in the description. So there were a lot of options, right? And actually I have another piece that if I was ready to do that, it would have absolutely been a piece from Cat with Owling Dog Design. She did like this blue vanity, but I'm not ready for that yet. So it is this piece from Statement Designs, which I loved this piece. When she did it, I was like, oh my gosh, I love it so much. And I've wanted to try something similar. So this challenge was perfect. I was like, hey, look, I can copy you without feeling bad that I copied you. So this piece was found on the side of the road. It's on the curb. Picked it up, threw it in the back of my car. My son was thrilled. But it's the perfect little piece to just try new stuff because it was already in terrible shape. I couldn't make it worse. So I'm also trying to not spend a lot of money on this. It is going to go in my daughter's room. She needs a dresser and I gave her her choice and she wanted this one even though it wasn't done. So it's going in her room. And the only thing I spent on it was the decoupage paper that's going to go on the front. I think I spent like $20 on that, including shipping. And a little bit for what I used to make the drawer pulls. And I think $4 total. Everything else I'm trying to use what I already have. You know, I've got a stash of stuff. So this was a great time to use up the stuff. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so here it is. Literally just on the side of the road. We don't have curb pickup for trash, so somebody just dumped it. But there's the sticky spot clearly from tape. Somebody has already sanded. I think they started trying to do something with it and then either gave up or whatever. There's that, which they sanded that smooth, and that made that harder to fix. Lot of sanding already done on the edges. There's some water damage. The top is plywood, and they went through the top layer of plywood, or the top layer of the plywood. You can see right there. A lot of gouges. This is just in terrible shape. You can see here that's spread a little bit. It's a little loose, so that needs to come back together. And you can also see from the edges that the drawers, that one doesn't sit right, but they also have been overly sanded. Somebody tried to fix the bottom with screws, which didn't fix anything. You can see it's split all the way through, but there's also a piece missing. Lots of nails put in this to try to fix it. Also a lot of tape. And this is literally like when I stopped to pick it up, one of my neighbors helped me and I was like, really? You want this? I was like, yeah, why not? Okay, so I'm taking the doors out slowly and carefully. You can see it looks like something might have been living in there. I also got a broken hanger. The drawers are already numbered, pretty convenient. And somebody didn't have something nice to say. There were several other things written that were inappropriate. I don't know what the 3 is for, but lots of extra nails. Lots and lots of extra nails. The drawer bottom has clearly been replaced. It was different. That was a different piece of plywood than any of the others. This one was repaired with this. And the whole thing just wobbles. Everything's loose and everything wobbles. So the first thing I decided to do was take this off and throw it in the trash. I was like, no, I don't need this. I got it clean. So I just took this off and threw it in the trash. I didn't even worry about pulling it off carefully. I just ripped it off. Alright, so let's document some of the repairs that need to be made. This is loose. So this here, so I gotta tighten that. You can see the top has split here, which is just re-glue and then clamp it down. No big deal. Also some significant damage that needs to be filled, but inside. Okay, these are loose, but you can see how they just kind of fit in here. So, there we go. Right, so it's kind of rounded right there. They just fit in there. So, really, a little glue in there. Tighten those up. This one, that just came off, so that needs to be glued and tightened. Put that back in there. Most of these are the same way. They just need to be glued and tightened. And then sanded, as you can see, there's been some damage from the drawer eating it. Okay. And then damage here, but I don't know. That's like, I need to fix this. You can see this slit here starts here, goes all the way down, and the like border or the face frame that would have been on here is no longer here. So this is loose in here, which may have, no, it's not loose on that side. So I'm kind of thinking what I may do, and this is solid pine, plywood on the top, but still solid wood. So I think what I may do, just to give this new life, is just cut this off and build a new base. Maybe put some new legs on it. We'll see. But that needs to go. And then hopefully that will help stabilize it too when I fix that. And that's just the body. That's not the drawers or anything like that. The drawers, like the bottoms there's some damage. A lot of big nails were used. So we'll kind of see how that goes. And then there's still some sticky stuff on that one. But that's where we're starting. So, yay! Okay, so I decided the base had to go, right? Like, this was all split. I considered legs, making a base for it. There were options. My daughter decided she wanted this because she needs a dresser. So, she actually decided she doesn't want legs on it right now, so I can add those in later. And I made like a little frame inside, which you'll see in a minute, to stabilize this. But I did not record that. Now, the centerpiece is not attached, so once I cut through the end of the frame, the whole thing just falls apart, which made it easy. I didn't actually have to cut all the way across. So, that is now what it looks like. And then there was a lot of gluing. I've already glued some, but now I'm going to glue this. You can see this side, that bottom piece is loose. Didn't quite get enough glue in there when I glued the front. So now I'm gluing this. I did not record all of my gluing because it was a lot of gluing. But you can also see the little frame I built in there. It's just pocket holes and then screwed into the side. So I flipped it upside down, stuck some glue down in that crack, and then just kept putting glue. And I don't normally use this kind of wood glue, but it was sitting in the garage. I don't know how long I've had it. Because The other bottle I use is in my shed, and I didn't want to go get it. So I had a lot of just different parts where I had to glue and then clamp and then glue and then clamp. But everything is together nicely now. And again, you don't normally, like, nails and stuff wouldn't have been needed for some of the repairs on this. Glue would have done the job. So, and they did use glue on some of the repairs, so I don't know why they used nails too. But glue would have been sufficient for a lot of the stuff that was previously repaired. Although sometimes you just gotta make do with what you got. So it is what it is. Okay, when it comes to the drawers, you can see there was glue here that dried out, but this joint is still stable. It's got the original nails in it. They didn't add any. If you are trying to re-stabilize a joint like this, glue is probably going to be sufficient. There's also a ledge that would have been here, where the front's a little bit higher, and that has been sanded completely off. So there's a pretty big gap between the drawers. Maybe they were sticking, I don't know, but that has been sanded. The drawer fronts have also been sanded, but not evenly. So you can see this is much thinner in the center than on the edges. So the drawers have been severely over sanded, not under sanded. And the middle's thinner than the rest of it. Okay, for repairs on this drawer, I don't want to replace all of the plywood bottoms. I just don't want to on this right now. And this piece of wood was really glued and then nailed on. More than likely, they just needed the drawer to keep drawing, so they made do with what they had. The drawer slide works fine. The nails aren't actually scratching anything. And there's a weird lump and some extra nails that need to be removed, but it's fine. This drawer slide, this probably broke off, and they re-glued it and then added nails. The glue would have been sufficient. They wouldn't have needed to add the nails. And then I think the tape was just to cover up. There's a little edge where it wasn't smooth. A little bit of wood filler. The tape probably wasn't needed, but the nails definitely were needed. So I took a lot of these out, and that's actually really stable. So I don't have to fix that. And this is kind of what I did with all the drawers. Take out the excess nails, glue anything that was needed. Very few other repairs, mostly just stabilizing and taking out nails. Okay, so I went through and I thought I pulled out all the nails. And after, as I was washing them, I found yet more nails. So, I'm going back through, looking for the rest of the nails. I'm also filling holes. I'm just using backling compound because I'm decoupaging. So, this is going to be covered. I just need something there. And this is the drawer that had the sticky stuff on it. You can still see where it was. I have done alcohol and TSP. It's no longer sticky, but you can still see. So, I'm going to turn mineral spirits, and if that doesn't help, I'm just going to seal it and hope that you can't really see it. So this is why you don't sand over sticky stuff. You're just going to grind that into the wood. Okay. I think I may have actually gotten all of the nails out of this drawer. But I know I still have several other drawers that have more nails. Alright, there you can see the mineral spirits and a scrub brush got most of it off. You can't use Goo Gone in this though. Do not use Goo Gone on raw wood. And you can see an old repair that one is fine. The nail probably wasn't needed, but the rest of it looks fine. And again, a lot of extra sanding that kind of did some damage. I used Quickwood to try to repair this. It didn't come out perfectly smooth, but I was really worried about continuing to sand too much, and didn't want to stick when I was trying to repair it because it was a smooth surface. And also, these had no handles. There were no pulls on this. I hand sanded the drawer faces. After I filled, hand sanded these just to 120, but everything was hand sanded. The rest of the drawers I sanded with a sander. I think I just did 120. I don't think I used 80. But the drawer fronts were just hand sanded. And then I wiped them down really well with mineral spirits, vacuumed everything, wiped it down, and then I sprayed everything with a coat of shellac. Inside, outside, underside, the undersides of the drawers where the drawer will be gliding. A lot of sanding on the drawer slides. Actually did those to a higher grit on the dresser and on the bottom of the drawers. And then sealed those with shellac as well. Yeah, everything was sanded really good and then sprayed. So initially I'm using this mist tint paint that I got. I've used it on several projects now. And I'm just going to spray it on, filtering my paint. I did have some struggles with my paint sprayer, but it worked out, and I don't know if it's old and needs to be replaced or if I just need to spend more time fixing my settings. I don't know. And put a little Vaseline around the edge on this particular type of sprayer. Not all sprayers. And don't forget the little nozzle that goes down in there. Or tube. Not nozzle. Tube that goes down in there. It won't work otherwise. And I did test my spray settings. I did do that. And again, it wasn't going great. But it worked okay. And if you happen to be enjoying this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing. Share this video. All those things help support my channel, but don't cost you anything. If you do want to support my channel more, I do have links down in the description for other ways to support my channel. And this is one coat on the drawer faces, but 2 coats on the body of the drawer. I was having problems getting the inside sprayed, so I did end up painting these inside with a brush. And 2 coats of paint. It looked good, and I know I don't normally paint the entire drawer, but they looked rough. They were old. They didn't look pretty, so I painted over all the wood. And before you freak out about, oh no, the wood! It was crappy pine that didn't look pretty. I don't feel bad. I even painted over the drawer bottom that had all the swear words on it. And while I'm sitting here doing this, the playlist for the Mirror Mirror playlist that this is for is actually playing in the background because I mixed my dates up and I didn't get it in on time, but so don't forget to check out the rest of the videos in the playlist, and I will have that link in the description below. Okay, the top is going to be, it's not going to be solid, but I have this chocolate brown color that I'm going to start with. And I'm just brushing that on. And I have a blanket over my little blue dresser that sits by, it's TV console, that sits behind this. I was like, I don't want paint. My daughter was irritated with me because I used her blanket for this, but whatever. Didn't want paint everywhere. And while we're watching me paint, I think sometimes, like, because if I showed all the repairs I did, like, I could have made an entire video just over all the repairs. And I didn't even do all of the repairs that really would have been perfect. Hi, Ollie. Or really would have been needed to make it perfect. It's time consuming. So I think sometimes it's easy to see a shortened version and just go, oh, it doesn't take that long. It took me a lot longer to repair than anything else. I also didn't show me cleaning. I washed the entire thing, literally washed with TSP cleaner. The sanding, I didn't show hardly any sanding, which was mostly scuff sanding because it had already been sanded well, a little bit too well. So just know if you are going to take on a piece to do yourself, it probably is going to take more time than you expect it to. And it's okay to do it in stages or to not do it. If you don't think you'll enjoy it, it's okay. Don't be discouraged from doing it though. I love doing these. Even all the repairs. And for the top, I have the chocolate brown, a light tan that's actually lighter than the body of the dresser, and a grayish white, and one brush and my spray bottle. These are all mist tints in actually different brands of paint. I just add color and keep going until I get the look I want. And I was kind of worried that there was too much texture from the wood underneath because some of it was sanded and some of it wasn't. But by the time I finished doing this, it's really not noticeable. I like the top. I'm not crazy about the little, you know, decorative edges there, but it's okay. It doesn't need to be replaced, so I left it. One way. There was an accident. This is the paper I'm using. It's Heart Horse from Whimsical Designs. And I think the only thing I spent on this piece was it was $20 to get the shipping on the paper because I couldn't find it locally. Which is about all I spent. So, yay. I used water to roughen up the edges and just tear because I've seen others do that. I don't decoupage very often. This is, yeah. And this is Pent Art. There's a place locally that suggested it. They also gave me the little scraper thing. So, and I should have done this in smaller sections because the glue was actually drying out on me. Which is common here. Everything usually dries out really fast. But it's okay. So I just put some glue down in a thin, even coat, realized that was all dry, and then put more glue. This is not going according to plan, Holly. The glue is drying too quickly. And then I started using my hand, and I was like, wait a second.
That's what I have this little tool for. And I started using the plastic side. But there's like a fuzzy side. That was awesome. I did not use plastic wrap like I normally do. This was great. I think it says decoupage queen on it. Anyway, when I bought the decoupage glue, the lady gave me the little scraper thing to go with it. And I did get some wrinkles, and there is a spot where like I wasn't paying attention and my nail caught the wet paper underneath. So be careful, don't do that. I think it's right here when I start doing this part. I was upset. Because then I have to go through and like patch it. Right here is where I did have some problems because you can see the little crossbar that goes across there is further in. So I got the paper down on that okay, but then when I tried to go back up, I got a little bit crooked. A lot of it crooked, and I had a lot more problems wrinkling right here, and like the whole paper was off. I ended up pulling it back a little bit and then trying again. This glue was pretty strong. This was not something I could easily pull back up. I had to be really careful. Also, the paper is nice and thin, so. Okay, you can see me patching the little hole I scraped in his forehead. Dead center, perfect. Now, you can see I've already done the top drawer to like kind of blend everything, which was a terrible plan because now I have to try to match what I already did. But as Kat has said, you just paint what you see. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just adding colors and wiping off my brush to try to paint what I see. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with it. I think I did a pretty good job. Oh, also, I used a razor to cut the drawers apart and then folded over the edges so it kind of wraps around the drawer. And then did a top coat of the glue over the paper. Which again, I don't decoupage very often, so I'd love to hear what you think. How'd I do? What do you think about my horsey and my blending? And as with the repairs, there are a lot of other things I don't show. For example, I waxed the whole piece. Miss Lillian's wax, I think. I used candle wax to wax the bottom of the drawers and the drawer slides, which the drawer slides themselves, I sanded up to like 220. The drawers now slide really well. Okay. Drawer pulls, the ones I really wanted were just a little pricey and I couldn't find anything else I liked. So my daughter likes the leather strips, but I didn't want to buy leather. So this is like felt that's covered with a leather-like texture. So I just cut it into strips, used my little punch to mark where I wanted to cut a hole for the bolt. And then each one I just folded in half. Use my scissors to kind of poke through where I'd punched and make a mark on the other side for where to cut. Little snips so that the bolt will go through because this did not want to tear easily. And then I had some bolts already because I'm trying not to spend anything extra on this that I pushed through. They're too long, but it's okay. And then it goes right here. And I'll just add a little nut on the back to hold this on. And my daughter picked the drawer liner out of my stash. It is not what I would have picked, but it's going in her room. And there's a crack in the bottom of this drawer, so that's why it's not laying flat. But look, we're almost done. See how smoothly they move now? And before the full reveal, let's go ahead and look at where we started. And as always, thank you for watching and stay tuned to find out what Heather does next time. And check out the rest of the videos.